Hello, and welcome back to Inwardly with Sanjana. Today's episode is one of a four-part series called Many Paths, One Journey. We all take many paths as we try and look for something more, something deeper. But when you strip away all the names that we give our belief systems, our rituals, and geographies, we are all simply walking towards that light that's within each of us. So, to talk more about many paths and his own journey, I'm joined by Marco Fredi. Welcome, Marco, and thank you so much for being a part of this show today.
It's a great pleasure and great honor to be part of your show. And this show really goes deep inside, which is what this is all about.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to talk more about, going within with you today. But before we get there, I'd like to get to know you a little better and also help our audience understand who you are. So let's talk about who you are and what you do.
Who I am, great, deep question. In the being or in the doing?
Let's talk about both.
Okay. Then in the being, I would say, since I'm a child, I am a deep explorer. I always wanted to understand things, understand what was behind what the adults would tell me, and I kept that energy all my life. Um, I also very influenced for the different cultures that I am from. My father is Italian from Florence. My mother is French from Paris with a Spanish grandmother. Then many languages. I grew up with having the opportunity to speak several languages and understand differences and nuances between cultures that often would say that the other culture was not good. And I would challenge that and I would find, oh, well, if these guys are not good, they're doing this, that it's great. How is that possible? And that's part of who I am. And I still am. I am. In my heart, I started my journey, my life journey as an adult in studying sociology in the University of Theology of Barcelona, Spain. Then I went to performing arts and I worked on stage in classical French theater for several years. And from there, from that beautiful experience, life was becoming very difficult because acting, I was rich 3 days a month. And then I went to the corporate world and I had
Okay.
a very incredible career very, very rapidly because of my creativity, because of challenging and coming from an outsider space. I did in 3 years, I starting managing teams. And after 5 years, I was managing an American multinational for the south of Europe in the agro business industry. And I think also this, in that moment of my life, I was completely immersed on the dream, on the conventional dream of achieving. I was so competitive that I was even competitive with myself in the gym. Everything was competition. And I forgot myself. I really forgot myself. I was working, like a rat in a wheel. It was like no time for anything, no time for my children, no time to have a moment of reflection. And many events happened to me at that moment. I starting to seeing some discrepancies between why I am doing this, how I am renting my brain and my creativity to something that doesn't have that much meaning. I was in the agro industry and I was seeing face to face all the chemicals that we were putting in the fruits and vegetables. I was
Mhm.
seeing some kind of very poor people in the warehouses. To give you an example, I was close to Cape Town in South Africa, and I enter in a warehouse with my tie, very corporate, And I say hello to the workers, and nobody answered. And then I asked to the manager, what's going on here? He said, "Oh, never a white guy say hello in a warehouse, and they're not used to it." And
Wow.
this signs were that, what is this? Why am participating on this kind of dream that doesn't bring us very far away from our heart, from our pulsation to what is really good? I am in the agribusiness industry in selling health with fruits and vegetables full of chemicals. And then
Yeah.
something started to open my eyes. I had a very slow and strong wake up.
Mhm.
And then one event that was amazing, that really woke me up, my boss told me, "Oh, I'm going to retire in a couple of years. You will have my position." And I thought, this guy is miserable. He lives worse than I do. Why should I want that? And the incredible impact, my heart just said no. And then I decided to resign.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it
Yeah,
was a,
wow, that's a moment where I think most people would have been so excited about, you finally getting that position. But I think it did quite the opposite for you.
yeah. And it was really, it was really like shining a light on me, like a really strong
Mhm.
spotlight, that I was an authentic fake in the fact that I was showing to everyone that I was happy,
Mhm.
even to myself. I
Mhm.
had achieved what in my industry was full success, leading a transnational company,
Mhm.
having a beautiful house, beautiful car, all the material was there. But my heart was longing secretly at first, and then really screaming, saying, why are you doing this? What is important to you? How are you going to figure out what is all this about, just running, 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 running in the rat race?
Right.
And all my creative spirit, all my the person in me that was still there, that had art, and also this part of sociology and philosophy that want to understand how society and why we who we are and what we do, was dying. And then I took really the courage, because you have to understand that at that moment all my friends and family thought I was crazy. That
Yeah,
was
I bet they did.
and that was like, it was a very, very long time that I was not voting fully for my spirit.
Mm.
And I remember resigning, because this episode, it was really incredible. I went to Rome to resign, and my boss told me, you have a 3 years agreement of not competition. You cannot go to another. And I said, please put 5. And he told me, 5? I'm not giving you more money for that. And I'm saying, no, I don't want money. I just want to be sure that I don't come back in the
Wow.
field.
You were that sure about your decision.
I was sure, but I was so sure, and I was so aligned. It was almost like, and I'm telling you that because it was almost like a spiritual experience. I felt
Mhm.
all my cells inside alive, afraid, my hands sweating, but my
Yeah.
heart was in peace. I felt, like, oh. And I remember going back in the airplane. I was living in Barcelona at that time, going back to the airplane, feeling what I did is right,
Mhm.
and just taking it in calm. And from that moment, I really, many synchronicities opened to me.
Mhm.
I immediately was offered to collaborate with one of the biggest multinationals in the States in coaching and leadership. Then I entered in the Spanish um, company there.
Okay.
I start leading courses of leadership and coaching, and training coaches to become coaches and certifying them. And that kind of coaching at that time, called CTI, which is one of the amazing companies in the United States, in California, had a component of very much processing the emotions of our clients, of our coaches, taking all this emotional intelligence into it, creating an experience. And it made a lot of sense to me at the very beginning.
That's
And
wonderful.
yeah, and I felt that I was really on a spiritual and something that was meaningful, that I could bring all what I learned in the corporate world and in my life, because I learned a lot of beautiful things in the corporate world,
Yeah, I'm sure.
which I think are really, really important to bring into our spiritual life. And it's not two separate lives, it's like a dance, a
Yeah.
fluidity of a dance.
Oh, that's beautifully said. I think it's, yeah, it's so nice to think of the two elements interweaving with each other, and forming this experience of life. So yeah, that's amazing that you were able to lean in and have the courage to actually listen to your heart and do what felt right from, within you. So what was the journey like after that? Because I know when sometimes, yeah, we have these big moments of, a calling, or a spiritual awakening, sort of. But then I think that comes sometimes with some confusion, maybe, as to what next. And then we kind of explore different aspects. So was it something like that with you? Did you explore different paths in trying to understand what you truly wanted?
Yes, I wanted to. I would say turbulence was part of that. It was not all easy road,
Hmm.
Especially if you want to understand normally, like I do, you don't take the easiest path. You take the one
Yeah.
that there is something to see, observe, and learn from.
Hmm.
Then I would say that the biggest turbulence was accepting that people that I love would go away,
Wow.
like family, friends. They didn't understand what I was doing. Even my younger son would ask me, "Are you in a sect, or what's going on with you?"
Yeah, did you join a cult?
That cult, yes, sorry, in English, and slowly, my relationship changed. It was accepting my difference. It was accepting that what I was doing for mainstream people, for the people, people, they have an image of us, and the
Mhm.
image they have, if it doesn't fit, you're out.
Yeah.
But I was voluntarily out, and then I had a kind of recycling um, friends. I had friends that I still loved, because this is very important. These people that they are judging the path as wrong, our spiritual path or my spiritual path, were people that would love me, good
Hmm.
people, but they are in another moment of their life, in their consciousness, where what is important for them was important for me a few months ago.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, that's a difficult transition, though.
it's a difficult transition, and it's a transition where it also has, you have two ways: or you shut down and you say they are wrong, or you open your heart
Hmm.
and you understand that you were there and you love them as they are.
Hmm.
Maybe some of them, not maybe, surely some of them also are like, I would say, they have a kind of toxicity that you don't need in your new adventure. And
Hmm.
having also there the courage to say, I'm not dealing with that with you. I'm not dealing with that drama. I'm not interested in it.
Yeah,
I
protecting your own energy in that space.
Yes, protecting the energy, because what I did was a meaningful jump towards something, and
Hmm.
compromising that jump would be, I would not be in integrity with my will, with my intention.
True.
And that integrity is really important, to
Hmm.
have it with an open heart.
Yeah. And while we have that open heart, I think we can still have the same amount of love and care and affection, but that doesn't mean that you continue to resonate with them. So I think both
Exactly.
are true and both can exist.
And in that moment, because put words in the experience of life, it's very difficult. It can be very tricky. But I would say it was a moment of turbulence and beauty, and myself jumping out of my center sometimes, when I would say,
Mhm.
"Oh, why are you saying that?" I'm getting some angry. But more and more the time passed, with the help of my sadhana, with my commitment to it, I would recover, go back to my center faster.
Yeah,
It's not about, I was not all the time, and I am not all the time. I would I would lie if I would say that, but it's the time of recovery is getting shorter, shorter, shorter. And now it's very, very difficult that things really trigger me for more than a few minutes.
that's interesting. So when you say your sadhana, what does that look like? So when did you start practicing a particular form of yoga or other rituals that form the sadhana that you refer to today?
Well, I started at the end of my corporate life, which I would
Mhm.
consider another life. I'm like in another phase of life right now. Like 12, 14, no, a little more. Well, times passes. Like 20 years ago,
Mhm.
slowly. And I would say my sadhana is composed on two elements. One, it's very much practice in the sense of discipline,
Mhm.
because without discipline, there is no impact. It's only wishful thinking.
Right.
And accompanied from a certain flexibility. And I'm going to explain. Mainly every day, or almost every day, I do a meditation station in the morning with
Mhm.
pranayama and meditation. After that, I do asanas and kriyas, which asanas are postures, yogic postures, and the
Right.
kriyas are energetical movement accompanied by pranayama,
Mhm.
which give me, like, create a space for me of clearing my mind, clearing my energy, in order to really be centered in myself. It's a mixture of strong energetical movement and very, very slow movement. Like the
Oh,
dance of life a little bit.
right.
And
Yeah, so you have your own set of rituals that
yeah,
you practice and follow on a daily basis. If I may
yes.
ask, where did you learn these practices? Was there a particular yoga school or any other, sometimes we find different gurus and people who we look up to and learn from. So is there one particular modality that you follow?
Right now, yes, but I want to
Mhm.
acknowledge my how I synchronistically find different things that brought me to this sadhana that I have right now. I would
Okay.
say I started with martial arts when I was very young,
Wow.
and the martial
What
arts
kind of martial arts?
I did very strongly Shotokan karate.
Okay.
From It's a Japanese technology,
Mhm.
and where it put me in contact with pranayama without knowing it. It put me in contact with fluidity and movement. It put me in contact with yin and yang, Shiva Shakti, with not putting that words.
Right.
And then a few years later, when I was still in the corporate world, I was needing to get back more into my center, and I went to a hatha yoga practice in
Mm-hmm.
Spain, and I really find immediately that it reawakened my cells of the martial arts, the commonalities, and it made me go deeper. And then I went to um, a little bit of hatha yoga and kundalini yoga
Okay.
for more energy.
Mm-hmm.
And few years later, many years later, in my leadership program, I started to teach in the morning a little practice to our participants, basics of asanas and a few very, very pranayama, but very, very little. And then
Basic. Yeah.
I had a call. I say, I need to know more about this. The explorer in me, and
Yeah.
we went with Lourdes, uh, my wife that you had in your podcast a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Nelamangala near Bangalore to a retreat, a yoga retreat, a hatha yoga retreat, and it was really wonderful. And I discovered first-hand experience Ayurveda, and I dig it more into the Indian culture, which it was a specific one because India, there are many Indias, and what makes it
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But it
I
started to
love
give
that.
me like that, wow, there is something here that blended from all my philosophical upbringing, my interest for philosophy, more all this, because it was my first exposure to Indian wisdom. It
Mm-hmm.
was a change for me from seeing the yoga in the math with a maybe nice philosophy behind to a wow, this thing
Yeah.
is incredible. And then I had my first little glimpse of Advaita Vedanta,
Mm-hmm.
which is a philosophy that I am really um, intellectually and into my heart, it really blends in with what I know. Like I would say, it's part of, I have little glimpses in me already now that I discover that. And from that discovery, we intensify more our morning practice with our leadership, corporate people in the programs. And we saw the results were fantastic.
Wow.
We saw that when we were, because our programs are very experiential and we create situations that we debrief, and
Right.
that anchoring, that centering, that listening to the silence was transmitted from a higher place. And that's, and then we had a lot of interest for Sadhguru, and we went to Atlanta to his last Shambhavi Mahamudra in person in his last tour in the United States, doing himself the Shambhavi Mahamudra.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like feeling his energy right in front, um, being taught by him. It had a dimension that I cannot explain because it was not a set of instructions. It was a
Yeah.
set of, the instructions were the grammar, and he was the poetry. He was
Oh,
the
I love
essence.
that. I love how you yeah, articulated that.
And when I'm saying that, I still have some goosebumps because it was so impactful for me
Mm.
that the first day I had a migraine that was so strong. that I thought, how I'm going back. And being back, it just fade.
Wow.
And then then from there, we went to Isha Center. We stayed 3 weeks there, and I had the pleasure to meditate in the Dhyanalinga. And it was incredible because I was going very, very early in the morning, and one
And
hour
it's
would pass,
quiet. Yeah.
quiet, quiet, profound, and I would meditate for 1 hour without even noticing it. 1 hour, and I had to go because I was part of a program of a Ayurvedic program that I had a certain schedule, but just and then that those moments of life that are little tastes of light that come inside, and that light is like I feel that it allows me to shine and to see more the beauty in other people, in nature, and have those little glimpses of, experience of a little connection with, I don't know, with a taxi driver, a little connection with a flower.
Yeah.
They open more the senses in a certain way.
Yeah, because I think your energy is so open, and so your level of consciousness is quite elevated, and then you feel that oneness with almost everything that's around you.
I really touch that, and I think that oneness, again, it comes from those moments of darkness and those moments of light. Both are there.
Hmm.
And I think that in many positive psychology, there is this thing to put aside the darkness or the incorrect emotions. I think there is a gift in all of them if we listen to them, if we are not
Yeah,
driven
true.
by them.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a moment that I had a very first person peak experience. It was in a moment, a very difficult moment. My father was dying. It was in cancer stage 4. I was in Pokhara in Nepal in
Yeah.
a restaurant, in a restaurant just
Mhm.
before and I connected with the suffering of my father, the suffering of my mother, and all the difficulties in all their life. It was like, boom, a moment of light and feeling all the pain and the consciousness and their unconsciousness and loving them with all their imperfections. And
Mm.
I was experiencing that while it was passing through me. And that moment changed a lot of things for me on how I access more to that unity, and also how I see the beauty in each person, in each element, in each situation. And it was from a moment of darkness, but it was very, I can not even explain you. In that restaurant, it's like the light was coming out of all the windows. And Lourdes was looking
Wow.
at me saying, what's going on? And this took like, I don't know, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I know that because Lourdes told me, because there was no space
Yeah.
time,
Yeah. You were in another realm at that
another
given moment.
element touching that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm researching more and more now with that in midst of difficulties. And I want to come back to some of the things that society is pushing away, but they're beautiful. There is a beautiful element of creativity and love in sadness if you're not
Mhm.
driven by it. There is a
Yeah.
power there that you have to look at. It's an information. There is a beautiful element of creative spirit in melancholy.
Mm.
If you take the Europe, the Renaissance, which is a moment of changing paradigm, is a moment of art, it's a moment of science,
Mhm.
it was blended into melancholy. And you can see all the beautiful art and science that came from it. And I would encourage everyone to look at the messages in all kind of emotions. There are an information if you go it and take it with the silence.
Yeah. I think everything is trying to teach you something or at least point you in a certain direction. And like you said, I think both are very necessary. You cannot feel joy without having felt misery or unhappiness. You cannot see or appreciate light if you don't know what darkness is. So both go hand in hand for sure.
Yes, life is like a dance, and we have to dance. So
Mhm.
that's why I was going to tell you in the sadhana, which if some days I have to shorten it because there is the need of the hour, there is need of something more important, I just let it go, knowing that I will get back to it.
Mhm.
And I want to make a very important point about that in the sadhana. If you let it go too many times, it's not a sadhana anymore. Then it's really the choice, the conscious choice. If this
Yeah.
thing that comes here, is it useful for my growth? Is it useful
Mhm.
for my highest intention?
Mhm.
Or is in the way? And,
Yeah.
and, and this decision always in my experience, in my first person experience, always come from silence.
Mm.
There is a silence that is beautiful
Yeah.
and pregnant with wisdom.
Very true. Yeah, but I think sometimes it just gets difficult to embrace that silence because we're so used to noise all the time. And there's so much clutter. But if you can zoom out of that and truly lean into that silence, it can be quite profound and impactful.
It is, and I'm bringing the silence also to this conversation because it's really important in today's world. We're in
Mm.
a world that in any place in the world, in any culture, in any city, in any hamlet, people are really absorbed with the digital items.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are
We
in the
live in a
phone,
time of digital noise.
digital noise, many information, all kind of information, all kind of,
Mhm.
and I would say that also this, all many of these programs built in Silicon Valley create addiction that put a distance between the human heart, the human will, and just doing things like automatically.
Yeah.
That if I could bring to the people that I work with just little moments of glimpses of silence, that would change their entire way of deciding, of
Mm.
choices. And this fast pace, we need to break it and break it down in a way that we can still go fast, but from the will of our bigger intention. That's where the intention comes in. And that's
Yeah.
where that silence can be pregnant of so much, so so much creation, so much doing, acting, because creation is an act. Also, it's like spirit getting to matter. The spirit of Michelangelo would create beautiful statues. They go together.
Hmm. Yeah, very true. I love how you encapsulated that. It's such a symphony if you look at it. Yeah, and there's a lot of beauty in it. I want to talk a little more about the discomfort of, embracing this path. I feel like leaning into, your spiritual journey can often come with a lot of making and breaking, especially of beliefs. Something that we thought was true for almost all our lives can suddenly be shattered. And then you start learning and embracing new thought processes or beliefs. Did you experience something like that? Was there something that you held on to dearly that you let go of? And what was that process like? Was it hard? What does the dissolution look like?
Well, this dissolution is one of the most difficult thing that will try to always take me out of my center. And I'm talking always in first person experience because that's the one I know. Um, you know, we create a story of ourselves, and even if in that story many things don't fit, it's still our story, and some kind we cherish it, we love it, we nourish it. It's like a golden cage that we make it shine every day. Then saying it's a golden cage, it's very scary.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage, introspection, and love, and recognizing that you will not be around people that you maybe grow up together. For me, for myself, it was very my nuclear family, in the sense of my parents, my siblings, cousins, uncles, um, would create a very big separation
Mhm.
with them. And at the same time, I thought, and I really feel that even now when I'm talking to you, it comes. My
Yeah,
dharma,
it's emotional.
it's to break that status quo.
Hmm.
That there is a kind of loop that in India you know very well, you call samsara, that
Yes.
goes on for generations, for and of course I'm taking the image of the samurai that takes a sword, but breaking that loop, it doesn't come without any consequences. If you want to change something in your life, in your art, someone will not like it, and you have to accept it. That doesn't mean that you don't like them. There is a very big difference about being upset or not understanding, and or maybe not liking their behavior. It's difficult to put words, but still my heart pulsating for them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I would say that, and that was very difficult. And in that moment when you start to open an awakening, you see that many of the mythologies that you created in yourself, in your family, in your culture, don't fit anymore.
Mm. True.
And then is that willingness to accept that not everyone is going to go there, but that they're not inferior. That there is a kind of strength with humility. Um,
Mhm.
I would say for me, which I always, since I'm a little boy, I'm fascinated for beauty, for what is true, for what is good and bad. Then it's really the big tree of philosophy: the good, the beautiful, and the truth. If you bring that together with humility, you know that the people are not wrong. They're in another stage, but not from a place that I am there. Oh, I'm in another stage. No, it's from a place
Yeah.
that there is a discovery, there is an opening, and they
Hmm.
all have the full potential to awaken in the way that they need to.
Yeah. I don't think it comes from a place of superiority at all.
No,
Everyone's just at a different place.
exactly. But I'm just pointing that because sometimes in spiritual circles, there are people that they have a kind of spiritual materialism,
Yeah,
that they
spiritual ego.
arrogance, and I really it feels that it's reproducing the same things of the material world that we are trying to awakening and reproducing it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking something much more humble, much more um, in that difficulty. We can see these people with their full beauty and who they are and their potential and their wisdom, because all these people, or many of the people that didn't awake in other items of life, they have much more wisdom than I have, and I have something to learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's
But I think through this process, you've found a very beautiful blend. I think sometimes being on the spiritual path, but also being conscious and aware of everyone's path and the different, places that they're at. I think sometimes it can make your circle smaller and just more protected. But at the same time, it can also give you more awareness, which brings about more inclusion. So I feel like you've been able to find a really nice balance, a mix between the two.
well, I'm still working on it, but I would say that I have like these two things coming together. I had to do like a kind of shui of friends, like
Hmm.
reselecting. And my intimate friends are very few,
Hmm.
where we can have very deep conversations,
Yeah,
and we can be completely ourselves. This is a really a place where I feel home. At the
yeah.
same time, I'm pushing myself to go out of home,
Hmm.
because it's no use to be separated from what's going on in the world, what is the dream of the people,
Yeah.
what where what are the problems of the younger generation, what are
Hmm.
the dreams of the younger generation that I might not understand, but there is something there that it's emerging also. Then
Hmm.
it's and going back to retreat with with the people, with my friends, to almost debrief and see what's there, but going in like observer, observed by them, because there is a, but also actor,
Yeah.
not from a distance, and created that relationship, and moving as the world is moving, understanding what's there, and from silence maybe offering some few pointers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful analogy, I think. And yeah, just being able to be within yourself, within your immediate, but at the same time also having that sort of awareness and interaction with the larger society or groups that we live in. I think that's all again a learning journey that contributes to our path in its own different ways. Through this entire learning, I feel like you've had a lot of learning along your journey. I want to ask how do you appear in the world differently today? I feel like we all go through these journeys of metamorphosis almost, and the little insect becomes the caterpillar, right? And so it appears very differently in the world. So How has that experience been for you personally? If you had to pick the top one or two differences in what you are today and how you're available to the world, what would that be?
A very profound question. I would say a sense of groundedness. I am grounded in who I am. I am. I am also. There is something that I show up into the world where I embrace the mystery of the world much more. I don't need a straight and looking for the truth is not having an answer from the truth. It's an experience. And knowing that I really know that I will not get to the ultimate truth, but I will go closer to it. There is like this unreachable star, and I feel that the explorer in me is completely awake and grounded. I feel that I can relate with people, and that's something that it's in my heart. But from meet them where they are, and meet
Mhm.
myself where I am, not justifying who I am, but translating it sometimes. Like if I would translate it from another language, like if I would translate it, it just came to me. No, Sanskrit is a so incredible language. No, it's sound, it's profound, but also every word in Sanskrit can be translated in, at least in Western languages. I don't know, in Indian languages, you will tell me, in so many different ways. There is so many, it's almost like quantum physics. It's like an explosion of probabilities. And I
Yeah.
think I live that probability in the experience. And not taking anything for granted, but from a beautiful place, from a place of fully discovery.
That's
And
wonderful.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really feel that. And I want to say, and the spiritual path also has a lot of joy and laughter. There is a possibility,
Mhm.
because if it becomes too serious, it's not a spiritual, we become stiff.
Right.
And I, I love the expression of it's a sincere path, it's not a serious path.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, as much as it is a beautiful path, I think it takes some time and effort to come to that realization and embrace the beauty of it. Because I think along the journey, things can get tough. When you lean into this sort of an exploration, I think it can come with its own turmoil, bringing up memories from the past. There could be a lot of purging that goes on. So it can be pretty scary. So, if there are listeners out there today who are on that crux of transformation or just, trying to open the door and look at what this path can look like for them, what would be your one truth that you would like to share to encourage someone to lean in and actually move forward on this journey of exploration?
Oof, we could have a podcast to answer that question. Um, to make it very brief, I would say, like the word yoga,
Mhm.
it's to embrace all our parts, all oneself. What in the past we judged bad, good, profound, superficial. It's we are all one, and we are all one of a bigger reality. I would say to look into the eyes what scare us with courage and go overpass that fear anyways. Because it's true that I promise that in the spiritual path there will be scary times, I promise that it will be difficult and turbulent. But I also promise that you will have a life with meaning. You will have a life connected to something bigger than you. You will create all actions, even joy, from a place of another, I would say, another melody of ethics that will come naturally in you. You will not have to think this is good or bad. You will just know it. You will open your perception deeper, because with normal perceptions, they are very deceiving, but you will refine your perceptions. You will refine an authenticity in your relationship with people, with nature. You will touch love. Love will be there in you, not only depending of outside factors, but inside factors also. You will have a quality of experience that is much bigger. You will have a will to transmit, not needing anything in exchange. This is really, really, really important. And I would say you will be able to dance the life of all kind of music that life will put all around you. Because if you don't do that
Oh,
and you stay in the rat race of the conditioning that we have, and I've been there and I can tell you that, you can, you will not be who you are and not happy with yourself. You will have to compromise all the time. You will have to run and dry of meaning your life because you will only want to achieve.
mhm.
And then I will really, really, really want to give you a little bit of light for you to believe in yourself and to be the best expression of yourself.
Wow, that is so beautifully put. Thank you so much. That's such a lovely reminder, even for me, to keep leaning into this journey, even when things get hard. So thank you for encapsulating that. And I know for sure that it's definitely going to impact anyone who's listening to this today. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing all of your experiences.
Namaste. Thank you very much, and thank you for this beautiful work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think we're all walking our own path. And I think there are so many guides. We may be holding different maps in our hand, but eventually the destination is the same. The destination is finding our own true self and being able to dance to whatever music life throws at you. So, once again, thank you, Marco, and I will see you all next time.